The movie begins with a skinny, sick man locked in a room, trying to draw something on the wall with a chisel. Across the supervision room, one doctor and one commander are watching him. When the older man finishes the painting, he passes out from exhaustion. An infant's sock falls off his left hand. The commander immediately calls someone to inform them about what they see from the painting on the wall. It's a coastal city. Michel Silenzi rushes to a costume shop in that city, where he insists on having a Spider-Man outfit. However, the shop owner refuses to open the door since it's not yet time. In the class, Michel is shooting on his longtime crush. The teacher noticed and takes his phone away. At the same time, the principal and a police inspector enter and say that Martino has gone missing for 2 days. That inspector is Michel's single mom, Giovanna. When the two leave, all of a sudden, Michel has a nosebleed. He then goes to the restroom to wash it. As the school bell rings, 2 bully boys break the door, rob him of a $50 note, and use a paint gun to shoot at Michel. The poor boy is chased and humiliated, while his peers can't stop laughing at him. After getting home, Michel sees his cousin in a bee costume. He turns on his laptop, visits Stella's Facebook, and decides to join the Halloween party. In her house, Michel opens an old box and takes a smaller bill. Then, he goes to a shop full of creepy costumes and masks. Michel is offered to buy a renowned Chinese costume of a superhero who has mysterious superpowers. At the party, Michel doesn't seem to fit in with the crowd full of outstanding costumes. He meets Stella, who's in a Marie Antoinette costume. He is then teased for his stupid outfit by the shorter one of the 2 bullies. Suddenly, a video of Michel secretly stalking Stella is shown to everyone on the screen by the bullies. Feeling angry, Stella asks Michel if that's the truth. But he runs away and locks himself in the bathroom. He looks at the mirror and angrily asks the costume to make him invisible. When the light goes out, Michel jumps out of the window and runs back home. The following day, after getting up, Michel's dog, Mario, keeps on whining at him. When he's brushing his teeth, he is so shocked because he can't see himself in the mirror. He takes off the shower jacket. He is naked inside his room, but his mom can't see him. He becomes invisible as he wished the night before. Giovanna thinks that he's hiding under the bed. But it's not him, it's Mario. Michel leaves his mom a note saying that he has to go to school early. Realizing his smell, the dog comes to Michel and barks, which makes Giovanna feel weird because it's just a picture in that position. After that, Michel dresses up like a ninja, covers his whole body, and rides to school. After seeing Ivan, Michel takes off his clothes and goes to the classroom. Next, Michel uses Ivan's paint gun to shoot the teacher at the board, making her angry at Ivan. He sneaks into the teacher's room and fancies his exam with the correct answers. Next, he goes to the tennis court, where Brando is practicing, and destroys his match. In the changing room, tennis balls move by themselves, which makes Brando astonished. He follows a ball to the restroom and suddenly hears a voice from nobody. He runs away in panic. Michel then goes back to school. He goes to the girls' changing room and looks at the girls in their underwear, walking around him. All of a sudden, a girl throws a towel at him. At that moment, he returns visible, which makes the girl scream. Facing his mom's queries about that trouble, Michel doesn't share his secret and his nose bleeds again. A moment later, Giovanna receives a call and says that Brando has also gone missing. In a psychology class of Dr. Bosley, Michel's hand becomes invisible, so he has to cover it under his jacket sleeve. As the school bell rings, Michel rushes home. Arriving at his room, he requires Candela to move outside. But he doesn't know that she's still inside the room. Watching him take off his scarf and become invisible, Candela has to cover her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Michel then explains the costume to her. Candela considers it magic and thinks that he can help other people with his superpower. At the police station, Dr. Bosley tells the police that the 2 missing cases are possibly voluntary and that staying calm is necessary at this moment. At home, when his mom calls him, Michel pretends like he's not at home. His mom worries about him so much that she starts smoking again. After 12 years, she accidentally reveals that Michel is not her real son when she's talking on the phone with her mom. Hearing all of her words, Michel runs out of the house in sadness. The next day, while sitting alone on the swing, invisibly, Stella comes toward Michel. Without being scared of the moving swing, Stella talks to Michel and even gives him candy. He draws a face on the sand, and Stella adds a smile to it. After seeing the smiley icon on the room window at night, Stella lets him in and hides him from her mother. To feel his existence, Stella comes closer to him, and they accidentally kiss. Realizing that he's returning visible again, Michel jumps out of the window and goes home. At the mini stadium, Stella is practicing gymnastics. Michel is walking his dog there to tell her the truth and apologize to her. However, a man in black shoots her with a dart gun, making her unconscious. Witnessing that man kidnap Stella, Michel and his dog try to rescue her, but they can't. Right after that, the police arrive, including Giovanna. She praises him for doing a good job. After being taken away, Stella wakes up. 2 doctors are doing some tests on her. Then one man claims that she's not the one they're looking for. Worried about Stella, Michel decides to rescue his crush by himself. He goes home to look for the costume. Unfortunately, it shrinks due to the washing. Michel asks his cousin to put it on. However, it doesn't work. He blames his mom for destroying it, denies being her son, and runs away. Meanwhile, Stella reunites with the missing boys, Martino and Brando. At the port, Michel meets a mysterious man. Looking at him one last time, the man tells Michel that he's Andre, his dad. Andre reveals everything about their past. Because of a radioactive disaster, many people died and got sick. Only some of the remaining people had their DNA changed, which turned them into superhumans. All superhumans were locked somewhere in Siberia, tested, and used for evil purposes by the company. Andre can read people's thoughts. One day, his real mom came. They had the same fear and fell in love with each other. Michel was their first son. Worried about their son's safety, they took him away. Unfortunately, they dropped a sock belonging to the baby, which the company's military dog caught. His mom gave him to his dad and fought against the military. She became invisible and attacked the enemies. Sadly, they defeated her in the end. But she had already passed her superpower to her son, Michel. Being scared for his son's safety, Andre had no choice but to leave him in front of Giovanna's house, whom he knew to be a good policewoman. He believed she could protect Michel. Meanwhile, Giovanna is worried about Michel because he hasn't been home yet. She then tells Dr. Bosley that Michel is not her real son. At the port, Andre tells Michel that the fisherman near them will call the police because he thinks that Andre may be a kidnapper. Therefore, Andre erases his memory. Then, he gives Michel a suit that can make him invisible without taking off his clothes. As soon as he arrives home, Michel runs to his room to change into the new costume. When Dr. Bosley gives him cookies, Michel sees a wound covered with a cloth bandage. Knowing he belongs to the company, Michel tries to escape but fails because all of the doors are locked. Putting on the suit, Michel becomes invisible. Michel attacks Bosley with a knife, but Michel can't hurt him. Bosley uses powder to identify Michel's position. He also persuades Michel that, with his support, Michel can maximize his superpower. However, Michel kicks him in the leg and escapes. Michel then gets on Ivan's motorbike and tells him to drive away quickly. Michel shows himself to Ivan and tries to explain everything to him. When Giovanna comes home, her house is a mess. She sees Andre appear at the door. In the cell, the 2 kids make a human lift to help Stella get out of there. To avoid being discovered, she walks on the wall over the guards' heads and runs upstairs. She finds a big limelight on the top of the building and draws a smiley on it before lighting it up to the sky. Having realized the signal from Stella, Ivan and Michel hurry to get there. After Ivan shoots the controlling system on the gate, Michel goes inside the base and finds Bosley there. The guard catches Stella on the rooftop and retrieves her back to the cell. Witnessing that, Michel hits him with a fire extinguisher, takes his gun, and forces the 2 guards into the cell, letting the 2 missing boys out. However, Stella tells Michel that there is also an older man trapped in the ship. Then, he follows Stella to rescue the older man. As they get closer, Stella suddenly changes her face and points the gun at Michel. It turns out to be a trap, and Stella is controlled by that old guy, who is confirmed to belong to the company. He also admits to manipulating Bosley. Michel can't do anything but surrender. Outside the base, Ivan meets Giovanna and Michel's dad. Andre knows Michel is not inside the ground but in the ship, and this base is about to explode. They rescue the 2 boys and go to the bottom. Discovering Dr. Bali in the room, Giovanna wants to kill him, but Andre stops her because he knows that Bali is not lying. As soon as all of them run out of the base, it explodes. Giovanna is still looking for her son, Michel, and the girl in the ship. Michel has no choice but to execute his superpower, killing all the guards. He and Stella get into the control room. They control the system and succeed in floating up to the water surface. After that, Andre decides to delete people's memories relating to this event because he's afraid that Michel will be in trouble again. Everyone then returns to their normal life. The scene cuts to somewhere in Russia. Michel's mother, who was thought to be dead, was only wounded in the encounter. She had defeated the division back then and is now ruling it. In fact, She was the one who sent those people to get Michelle back to her. The woman is now against all the normal people who look at them as if they are freaks. At last, a guard informs her that, although they lost Michelle, they have found his twin sister, Natasha. A clip of the past shows us that Andre ran away with 2 children that day. The movie ends as the guard tells Michelle's mother that Natasha is somewhere in Morocco, hinting at a sequel. If you liked today's movie, don't forget to comment below and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We will meet again.